Hey everyone, Marathon Hurdler here, back with the finale of Final Fantasy VIII. Last time, we stormed Ultimecia's castle, took on all of our minions, took on the strongest enemy in the game, and we're still standing. Now all that remains is Ultimecia herself. Off screen, I taught Selphie the ability ×4, so now I have her with max stats, and now everyone in the game has max stats. A couple of things about my setup before we jump into the final battle though. I haven't changed my elemental defense, but I did add pain from attack to defense, and I replaced sleep with pain. The reason for this is that pain provides defense against curse, and Ultimecia can use Maelstrom on us, which can inflict the curse status on us. You could use aura in its place, but we want to actually use aura for casting, so that's not going to be helpful. Another thing, and this is a minor point, so you don't need to follow this advice, but you may want to have draw on 4 of your characters. And the reason for this is that Ultimecia has a unique spell that you can draw from her near the end of the battle. Obviously we can't junction it, but if you just want to see it, you might want to do that, because we're going to be powerful enough to where she probably won't get a chance to cast it on us. So I'm going to try to show that off. If it doesn't work, so be it. But I think that's just about it. There's really nothing else. I mean, there's the backup spells that I've given myself, the Firagas and all that stuff, but at this point that's not going to be very useful for us because we don't want anything junctioned to our elemental attack. I did give all of my characters Asuna, just in case something goes through that I can't account for. It shouldn't be, there shouldn't be anything like that, but just in case I gave myself some Asunas. You can refine those from Dragon Skins using the Support Magic ability, or Support Magic Refine ability. So I think that's everything. So with that said, let's take her on. Let's fight her now. We're ready. Now I think that you can actually fight her prior to defeating all of her minions. You won't have all of your abilities, of course, but I think you can do it. And along the way to fighting her, I think you have to fight some of the minions anyway, so you really have no choice but to get a couple of abilities. You just won't have all of them. Wow, this is a nice little FMB here, and we get to hear Premonition one more time. Whoa, that's what Ultimecia looks like? That fake hair, all that makeup. But for some reason I feel like I've seen that before. All that makeup and hair, I just can't seem to place it. Where could it come from? Wait a minute. That's not supposed to be a K. Random Ks, fake hair, all that makeup? It can't be. No, it can't be. Ultimecia is a Kardashian? Nope, just kidding. She's not a Kardashian. At least not that I am aware of. But yeah, all those Ks are, I don't understand why she does that. But anyway, she insults us for a little bit, and then it's going to be time for battling. I mean, I have to say, it is kind of unfortunate that we only get to see her at the very end of the game. That is kind of a shortcoming of this game, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But I mean, this is a pretty nice throne room, and she looks kind of menacing, but she just wasn't around that much. Anyway, so the unique mechanic here is that Ultimecia will choose 3 of your party members at random to fight against her. So you want to make sure you have all 6 of your characters equipped. Now, if you don't have all 6 characters equipped, you can still get by without, and look, she's using Maelstrom right away there, but you can still get by without it. It's just that, you'll be fine, but basically what happens then is, if one of your characters die, she'll replace it, she'll like kind of wipe them out, and then you'll have someone else come in. And that's basically how you survive this, that's basically how you get your good party members in, if you don't have them in right away. So, but that's not really ideal, really, in terms of taking her on. You want to have all of your characters equipped. That's definitely the easier way to go, as opposed to trying to get your party members, the good ones, in. So, but yeah, that's basically how it works. She'll choose 3 at random. If one dies, she'll replace it with someone else. But since everyone has max stats, we're not really concerned about that. As long as we had Irving, Zell, or Squall, we could basically wipe her out pretty easily there. And we do, so we're in good shape. Now, I glossed over that, or I didn't mention anything about what we just saw there, but in case you didn't notice, the GF she's summoning, its name is Griever, and that is the basis for one of the big, I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but yeah, basically a conspiracy theory in this game, which is that Ultimecia is actually Renoa. And so if you, I mean, obviously we know that Ultimecia, or not Ultimecia, but Renoa is a sorceress, and there were points in the game where she was really concerned about, like, not having enough time to spend with Squall, and she was like, I wish we could just be together forever, and all of that. So, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, so people think that this was actually Ultimecia's doing, or not Ultimecia, that Renoa was Ultimecia, and that all of this was just a big ploy to try to compress time so that she could spend time forever with Squall. And part of that theory, if I recall correctly, is that part of that theory is as well is that Squall is a GF. So like, since Squall can't live forever, Renoa actually turned Squall into a GF. But there are some pretty serious flaws with that theory. So like, for the most part, I don't think people actually believe that to be legit. But I think it does speak to how limited the plot is when people actually have to rely on these conspiracy theories to explain what's going on. And this is, wow, he is really screwing with me here right now. So one thing that is unique, another really annoying part of this battle is that, attack. One dangerous part about this battle is that starting with Griever and through the end of the battle, he can actually blow away your spells. So like the spells you have junctioned, he can just get rid of all of your spells one at a time. And I've been getting really unlucky with this. He's gone after Irvine, and not only has he gone after Irvine, he's actually eliminated two very important spells for me. So like my Meltdown's gone, which greatly reduces my vitality, and he got rid of my full life, so now my HP is down to 5200. I mean, I think we'll be okay. We should be able to survive this anyway. Shockwave Pulsar does magic damage, I think, so we should be able to survive this, but there's a chance he might eliminate Irvine. And if he does, I might actually just leave him dead. Let's see how they do. Nope, yeah, it barely did any damage, so we're fine. But what I was gonna say is, I was tempted, if that were the case, to leave Irvine dead so I could show off how Ultimecia removes your party members whenever they die. But I don't think that'll be necessary, because I don't think there are 4 forms to Ultimecia, and I don't think the last 2 actually have. I don't think the last 2 have physical attacks that I'm really concerned about. But yeah, that is one dangerous aspect of this battle, and if he had taken out Irvine's Ultima, I would have seriously contemplated just eliminating Irvine and then bringing in one of my other ringers to try to make the battle faster. And if for some reason this new Ultimecia Griever combination does do something like that, I might still contemplate it, but that shouldn't be necessary. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to get Meltdown on this new form of Ultimecia, and then we want to cast Aura on Irvine. Now, I guess I could have put Holy on my Elemental defense, since she does cast Ultima. I mean, not Ultima, Holy, but as you saw there, I mean, it really didn't do anything. It did 30 damage, so even the final boss can barely scratch us with our maximum defense. Although, if she had used a physical attack against Irvine, it would have done significantly more damage, as you kind of saw. Come on, get one more. Alright, I might switch back to my APM. Well, I just didn't want to run out of APM, which is kind of why. Let's use Recover. And then, there we go. And then Demolition Ammo again. Now those little side things, I think they can cast like spells on you or something. I can't remember exactly how that works. But we'll take them out not all the same. Oh, so this isn't all, it doesn't target everyone. Okay. I thought it was one of those target everyone type of attacks. I'm not super familiar with all of his ammos there. Shoot. I should have kept Selfie on standby. I usually like to have my other 2 characters perform some action when I'm trying to get a limit break, so that it's not like getting in my way. But yeah, so we'll do that now. Because trying to go back and forth between two guys, it's easy to get like confused and like just miss it. So let's see. Yeah, let's try out the dark ammo. Let's see how that does. Because I think we'll be doing pretty close to max damage regardless of what ammo we use. So, nope, actually I was wrong about that. But this one fires faster. I kind of like the fact that it fires faster. And she's dead. So, yep, that's 3 forms of Ultimecia down. 1 left to go. I'm sorry this battle is not more climactic. I mean, oh, yeah, no, she's not dead yet. Oh, no, she just changed forms. I thought I had completely finished her off. But nope, doesn't look like that's the case. Alright, let's get our limit break going then. Let's go with AP ammo here. Finish her off really quick. For some reason I thought you could just completely wipe her out, her whole HP pool, but no, I guess we didn't even get close, so even if that were possible, we just didn't get close to doing it. Alright, so she is going to use Quake on us. Doesn't really matter because, well, we have protection against that. But even if we didn't, how much damage would it do? Like 100 points of damage? Not exactly something that I'm concerned with. Alright. But as you can see, her physical attacks are doing a lot more damage to Irving now. Like, not enough to be super concerned with, but enough to where it would possibly be a problem if, where it could be a problem in theory. There we go. Let's go back with demolition ammo. I forgot to refine some more ammo off screen. I just realized that as I was in battle, in case it wasn't clear. But we'll be okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not as if she's actually difficult. So yeah, sorry this isn't more climactic. I mean, this game, once you figure out how to abuse the junction system, all the difficulty just like completely erodes. But I do like showing off just how powerful our defense is. I mean, even with our junctions blown away, I mean, she's still doing only like 1,000 points of damage. Like, and this is the final boss. You know, you would think that she'd be able to do a little bit more to us. But anyway, yeah, that's 3 forms down. That is not the final form though, because Final Fantasy really has to have the super dramatic, drawn out final boss fights, such as Final Fantasy 13, where you had like Daisley, then the real bad guy, and then the real bad guy, and you know, Final Fantasy 9, my favorite RPG of all time. Even that game had to throw in a random final boss, which, you know, there were some interesting theories about that one too, which actually made more sense than Final Fantasy 8, but yeah, Squaresoft doesn't seem to really like, or I guess Square Enix now, but Square doesn't really like to overcomplicate these battles. They like to throw a bunch of these boss battles in there, but don't really like to explain why all of these extra battles or anything like that are here. Okay. Well, why? Okay, but why? I mean, that's the thing. Again, you know, I know there are some people who like dismiss the Renoa is Ultimecia theory, but like, at least then there would be an explanation for why she exists. Like, what is the reason for Ultimecia existing right now? I mean, she just wants to destroy everything to destroy it. I mean, like, it's not as if other bosses haven't had like pretty dubious methods or pretty dubious reasons for existing before, but like, at least they had more development. Like X-Death, he had a little more development. So let's go with demolition ammo, and then we'll use Mega Elixir. So I wanted to wait there. So Hell's Judgment brings you down to 1 HP. It's not like the Medigo Flame, so it doesn't actually deal near max damage automatically. It just brings you down to 1. And the reason I wanted to wait was that way I could get my limit breaks pretty easily. And also, now I can show off Keistis' Shockwave Pulsar. We already saw it once with Griever, and we saw that it did 300 points of damage. Now with Keistis having maximum strength, or not maximum strength, maximum magic, and I guess strength too. Oh my god, that's a long cape. Jeez. Let's see how much damage this does. Yeah, not that much. Only 13,000 points of damage. I say only as if that's like some terrible thing. But let's use Meltdown as well. That'll help us a little bit. And then, let's see, wait for it to proc there. Yep. Then we'll get our shot going. We'll use Dark Ammo here. And then we'll use a Mega Elixir. And the reason I'm using Meltdown is not because I actually need to for the purposes of... I mean, because I could obviously do a lot of damage with Demolition Ammo, but this way I could get my other weaker ammos to do more damage as well. Now, eventually, once we've taken out enough of her health, we will be able to draw this bell. I'm trying to figure out when we can do that. We're not quite there yet. So let's get Aura back on Irving there. Yeah, so we can't do it quite yet. She only has Flare and Holy right now, so we have to wait a little bit longer. Come on. Come on. And she's going to use... Oh, alright. I thought she was going to use the spell on Irving, because that would have made actual sense, but nope, she's not. Alright, so let's just rail into her with some more AP ammo. There we go. So can we draw yet? Nope, not yet. We have to get her again. So what will eventually happen is that once you do enough damage to her, it will reveal a second part to her, so she'll have like 2 targets on her body. And at that point, you can actually draw the spell from that second part. And what will happen is she'll also do the same thing. So the spell's name is Apocalypse, and if you let her live long enough, she'll draw Apocalypse from... Come on. I had it. Nope, no, I can't do it now. I gotta cast Aura on Irving. Yeah. But so the second part she'll draw Apocalypse from that second part of her body, and then she'll cast it on you if you let her live long enough. But I don't plan to. Man, she is just... She usually doesn't use that ability that much. She's really going in with the blowing away my magic. And I'm getting a little bit lucky in that she's blowing away pain, which isn't that useful for us now, but still. Alright, so same thing here. We're going to use a Mega Elixir. Once this is, there we go. And then use this to get our limit breaks going. Oh, we can actually draw from her other part now. But Selphie doesn't have draw. Darn it. Alright, so we'll see if she survives this attack. If she does, then I'll draw Apocalypse in the next turn and then use it on her. So let's see what happens. Come on. Now, I don't think that you can actually... So what happens at a certain point in this... Yeah, so she's dead, but she's not actually dead yet. So what it does is it basically revives her with 1 HP, and it's kind of scripted. So let's see if I can draw. Yeah. I'm going to cast Apocalypse on her. So she's trying to draw Apocalypse to use on us. I'm going to use it on her instead. But, so basically once you've taken away all of her HP, she revives with 1 HP, and you have to go through like the scene where she says something, or you hit her, kill her, she says something, regains 1 HP, you kill her again. Basically for a couple of turns, and then it's over. And yeah, there you got to see what Apocalypse actually does. It's supposed to be the most powerful attack spell in the game, and apparently if you junction it to yourself, like if you junction it to your stats, it's like the best spell in the game. But obviously we won't get to have that opportunity because, well, this is the final battle. There is no battle after this. Like there's no final battle. So this is everything. But yeah, that's basically, and I don't know how people figured that out. I think you had to have like some sort of Game Shark or something to figure out the junction effects of Apocalypse. But yeah, apparently it's like the best spell to junction to your stats. We just never get to actually use it. But yeah, this battle is pretty simple, and I don't think I did a great job of explaining what's going on, but it's I mean, as you saw, it was really easy. All you have to do, use Aura, use Meltdown, spam limit breaks, and she's done. The only things you have to worry about are her blowing away your spells, because that could make you a little bit weak. And if you have characters who aren't junctioned, just know that you have to let them die, and then she'll blow them away and replace them with someone else. And then in the final battle, you can draw Apocalypse and cast it on her, and once you kill her, you have to keep attacking her after she starts talking, because each time you kill her, she revives until she goes through that little speech about existence or life or whatever she was talking about. So yeah, that's it actually. I mean, I was going to say that's pretty much it, but that is actually it. There's no more battles. We've won the game, so all that's left is to watch the ending. Now, one thing I will give you full warning for, before we get into the ending here, is that there's a song that plays about halfway through the ending here that I'm going to be editing out. I mean, not editing out. I'm going to be muting the sound there. And yeah, the reason I want to do that is just because I don't want to deal with copyright issues. And that song in particular, of all the Square songs, seems to have the most sordid history in terms of copyright issues. So I'm not going to deal with that. Just so you're forewarned, if you want to listen to it, you can always pull it up. It's basically an orchestrated version of Eyes on Me. So there you go. Now, I don't know how these guys know all this terminology about time warps and picking the right times. Like, how are you supposed to know how to get to the right time? But whatever. Alright, but if everyone else doesn't go there, I thought you had to work on this together. Renoa, what are you doing there? She's like wanting to hug someone or something. So now that I see it really up close, I guess it makes more sense when she like puts her hand up to her chest like that, because she's grabbing Squall's ring, which she's still wearing. She never did get her own copy. Whoa. This doesn't look like the same friendly place that they were at. Yeah, where are you? I mean, I don't know where everyone else is. They were in that weird trippy spot, but you just seem to be in a really unsafe spot. Oh boy. This doesn't seem like the present Squall. I think you've made a mistake here. So clearly we're back at the orphanage. Yeah, we all know who to blame for this. Renoa. No, actually, this one's on alone. And Astar. Yeah, he went that way. How do you know? Well, I guess we all know how you know, but how would you... Why are you laughing at him? Jeez, way to traumatize Squall even more. Oh god, she's still alive? How does Adia know that she's a sorceress? Well, I guess she would feel the power. And maybe you shouldn't call her matron because she wouldn't know. Oh. That's right, they have to pass on their powers before they die. Okay, so Adia already received her powers once. Now this is where I'm always confused, because she said she was a sorceress once, then she became one again. But was there a time in between where she wasn't a sorceress? Anyway. Whatever. So Ultimecia is gone. That's a pretty pitiful way to go out. I mean, she was in the game for what? A total of 25 minutes? Bravo, Ultimecia. Bravo. Worst cameo by a final boss ever. Yeah, bad move, Squall. Always making fun of other people for their big mouths. Yeah, she wouldn't know what those things are. Why are you... This is like breaking time travel rule number 1. Like, you never say anything to people about the future. Yeah, seriously, Squall. Yep. That's me. So this is interesting for me. I'm not going to try to explain this too much. I've tried to figure out, or I've tried reading about like the temporal theory behind all of these events, because you have Ultimecia in the future, who is how am I trying to explain this? So Ultimecia comes back in the past, gives Adia her powers, which in turn leads to them deciding to come up, trying to create seed, right? But in the original timeline, because if I understand like this correctly, like if you go back in the past and change time, it creates a separate parallel timeline. So this would be like the parallel timeline. What was the original impetus for seed, right? Like if ultimate, like in the original timeline, like if you just think of time as being linear, which I know is like some people don't think it is, but if you think of it as being linear in a sense, like the events in the game happen, or not the events in the game, but like Squall's born, all his friends are born, and they live, they die, Adia lives and she dies. But during their lifetimes, what was the impetus for creating seed? Because Ultimecia technically doesn't exist yet, right? So then, why would they create seed? Because Adele's gone, and unless they were worried about Adia becoming crazy, there'd be no need for seed. Like the necessity of seed really only came from Ultimecia, I thought, and Adia receiving Ultimecia's powers. I don't know. It's weird. I can't figure it out, but maybe some people who are much better with physics than I am can tell me, but I don't know. Yep, it looks like you're all alone again. Looks like you're in the middle of nowhere, buddy. I mean, yeah, that level of darkness would be really hard to deal with. But hey, the lights are back on. That's nice. But this area doesn't look like much of anything. It looks like a desert. Wait, maybe we're in Kashkabal Desert. Are there cactuars here? I mean, the sky looks a little bit bizarre, but beyond that. Alright, sure, Squall. Just start walking. That seems to make a lot of sense. No, yeah, I'm sure you'll find your way somewhere. He already looks like he's stumbling too. I mean, there's only so long that you can walk before you just tire out. And yeah, he's struggling now. Maybe wearing all those dark clothes and heavy jackets isn't such a great idea. I imagine it's got to be kind of warm there. Come on, Squall. You could do it. I don't know what you're going to do. Okay, maybe you can't do it. Well, you did it. You made it to the end. Fantastic. Wait, does this place seem smaller than it was before? Oh, yeah. You've been walking around in circles this entire time, Squall? Now, what the point of this place is unclear to me. I think this is supposed to be like someplace in between time eras or something like that. I don't know. Renoa seems to have made it back, though. Although the sky is pretty dark. Yeah, so that really hammers it home. When she's grabbing her chest, she's grabbing Squall's ring. What's this? Oh, a feather. So maybe there is something out there. Alexander, is that you? No, no, that's Final Fantasy IX. Well, I guess Alexander's in this game too, but like the wings, definitely not a Final Fantasy VIII thing. Hey, you found her. You made it back somehow, or not? Nope, I don't know what that is. And there's a cut in a cipher. That's kind of concerning. And Adia now. What is this? The ring or something? Like, I like how, I mean, it's like your generic, things are really creepy because, like, we're blurring out people's faces. Kind of a thing here. And I have to say, watching this without the sound is really trippy. It just, like, the images are just so weird. I mean, the music really helps set the mood and takes you away from, like, the creepiness of, like, all that's going on right now. I don't know why we're flashing back to that, but okay. Now, see, these scenes really, or the replaying of the scene on Balam Garden really makes it clear that they expect you to bring Rinoa with you. I guess just kind of assume that Rinoa and the Squall are just going to be together most of the time. Well, there's a lot going on here. We all know what Squall has on his mind, though. There's really only one person who's dominating this entire clip here. Now that might be the creepiest face that she has, like, with her eyes kind of darkened like that. Anyway. And I don't know why exactly that, like, takes Squall out, but somehow it does. But this is the part where the music, the troublesome music comes in. So I'm going to mute the sound now. If I can. There we go. Got it muted. Just in time. Yeah, sorry to keep doing this throughout the game, but I don't want to run into any copyright claims or having my videos taken down or getting in trouble, because I've been making some pretty long videos and I would really hate to go back to being restricted to a 15-minute video limit. But since there isn't any sound as these scenes play, now might be a good time to talk a little bit about my impressions of the game and just reflect back on this Let's Play a little bit. So it's been a long journey. It took me much longer to get this playthrough finished than I initially anticipated. You know, the major hiatus of, like, 9 months in between really delayed the project, obviously. And I want to apologize to anyone who maybe started watching these videos last year and didn't get to see the end at that point. But hopefully now with my new recording schedule, that won't be a problem moving forward, and I'll be able to upload videos more regularly. And hopefully this will just be the end of the first of many projects and not the last project that I'm able to do. So I'm really excited about things moving forward, and I want to thank you guys for supporting these videos and for your continued support. As far as Final Fantasy VIII goes in general, well, I'll start with just how the playthrough went, I felt, in general. You know, there were a lot of challenges with this first Let's Play. There were a lot of coordination issues and trying to balance having a balanced efficiency with showing off as much as I could on screen, and I'm not sure I always achieved the best balance. I did the best that I could, but there were times where maybe I skipped a bit much or didn't show off everything I could have and whatnot. And I know there are a lot of things that I didn't show off in the game, like the GFs, a lot of the limit breaks, etc. And, you know, my reasoning to some extent is that a lot of this stuff is already out there, right? Like, if you want to see the limit breaks or the GFs, there are videos for that. So my goal to a large extent is just showing off how you can do specific things. Now, with future playthroughs, especially playthroughs where there may not be as many videos out there, I might try to show off a little bit more there and show off some more of the dialogue, but it didn't seem like it was necessary in Final Fantasy VIII. That said, if I did this again, I think there are a lot of things I could do better. I think the audio settings were off a lot in this playthrough, and there was some things that I could continue to improve on. But I don't know. I think for a first project, things went pretty smoothly. And before I talk about the game and my impressions of the game itself, this is kind of your confirmation of. I guess we already knew that Laguna was Squall's father, but this kind of confirms that whole thing because, as you can see, he is proposing to her, and I guess the implication here is that they got married before she died. So, yeah, that's kind of your confirmation of all of that. And unfortunately, Laguna wasn't a great husband in the sense that he just took off and never came home and kind of ran away from commitment a little bit. But, yeah, so that's your confirmation there. So, the credits are about to start rolling here, and I want to make sure I have enough time to talk about everything I want to talk about with my impressions of this game, so I'll jump to that now. This was the second role-playing game that I played ever. My first role-playing game was Final Fantasy VII. It got so much hype when it came out. Even though I had never played a role-playing game before, I decided to pick it up, and even though it took me a while to get used to the role-playing game mechanics, I really enjoyed the game. So when Final Fantasy VIII was announced, I was really excited for Final Fantasy VIII. My first playthrough, I did not like the game very much. The junction system to me was counterintuitive. It was hard to know when you were supposed to find certain spells or to know where to find certain spells. And I guess if you did enough exploration, it would be fine. But like, the balance between using magic and junctioning magic was never one that I could really find that easily. So I didn't really like Final Fantasy VIII that much. I thought the story was not that compelling, and despite some really cool scenes, I didn't really like it that much. But then I played it a little bit later, like when I was like 20, 21, and I really liked the game the second time around. I really appreciated the love story and how different it was from so many other role-playing games. I mean, granted, most JRPGs have some love story, but in this one, to have it be a central focus was really interesting to me. And yeah, once I knew how to handle the battle system, I was far more okay with it. Now, as someone who is quickly approaching 30, I kind of gone back to kind of the middle between those two opinions. I appreciate Final Fantasy VIII in a lot of ways for what it does, and there are some really great things about Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, the graphics in particular are amazing, some of the best that you will get on the PlayStation 1. And the updated version for the PC, where the graphics have been upscaled a bit, and I think it's called the HD Final Fantasy VIII for the PC. The graphics are really nice, and I mean, the backgrounds were lush and colorful. There were no areas in the game that I felt were really not detailed well. And the music in the game really does a great job of setting the mood. And one thing that I've learned in playing so many role-playing games is the difference between good music in role-playing games and great music in role-playing games. And Final Fantasy VIII has great music. Not just because the actual tunes themselves or the melodies themselves are nice, but even though they really are, the complexity of the music. I mean, every single song in the game goes through multiple movements where you have an initial introduction and like some basic melody, then it transitions to a kind of a remix or a variation of that same theme, and then you have a third portion which often remixes that. And I mean, it's really just, yeah, it's really awesome. So the music in this game is great, and the story is interesting. I mean, it's definitely unconventional in many ways, and the way that I've tried to read it is, if you look at this game as being a game about the romanticization of youth, then it makes a lot of sense. Young people are energetic and outgoing, and they're willing to try new things, and they're flexible because they don't know any better, and they fall in love quickly. Like, they don't even date or anything. Like, if you look at Renoa and Squall, they went on like one date maybe, and they were just like madly in love. And like, same thing with Zell and the pigtail girl. Like, they never actually really went out on a date. They were just like, I really like you and I like you too, and like, that's how love works when you're young. And so many old people, and old here meaning just older people in general, like people who aren't in their teens, late teens to early 20s, maybe don't have that same innocence or willingness to just try everything. And so they get stuck, or they settle, or they don't pursue those dreams they had because they get hit by the realities of the world, and then they become those bitter old people, like the editor at Timber or something like that. Young people, though, don't really have that same, but young people being young and not understanding that tend to get impatient with that. So people like Squall just don't want to hear old people talk about that stuff, because it's like, why don't you just do something about it? Because they don't really understand how the world works yet. So if you read the game that way, then the story really makes sense. And then Ultimecia, I mean, this might be a stretch. You could kind of see Ultimecia as being the antithesis of that. Instead of letting time do what it does and have people learning over time and growing and developing or having their dreams crushed, Ultimecia is just a representation of eliminating all of that. No time, everything is just static. And defeating her means that, hey, we know time's going to progress and things happen and life goes on and people die, but that's just the way it is. So if you read it that way, then the game has a very different perspective on it. And if that's how you want to read the game, then the story isn't quite as bad. However, I'm not convinced that is a compelling way to... I'm not convinced that's a compelling way to... compelling story in and of itself. I mean, if it's a book, sure. But if you're actually trying to build that as like your main plot point, I just don't know. And the game really lacked a compelling villain throughout most of the game. I mean, Cypher and the Sorceress, they're interesting, but they never really do anything. I mean, Cypher shows up like once a disc, and then that's it. And then the Sorceress shows up once a disc, and that's it. They could have done so much more with like Adele being revived and maybe causing terror or starting a war or something, and then you have to fight Adele and have all these different dynamics going on, but the game never really goes there, and it's kind of frustrating. And the gameplay, I mean, look, I don't hate the gameplay, but it's way too easy, way too simplistic. And I say this knowing that I intentionally abuse the system, but like, the game just shouldn't be that straightforward. I mean, you're basically just abusing physical attacks or limit breaks the entire game, and there's no strategy there. And part of this is because everyone can just like, you can modify characters to become anything, and part of it is that physical attacks are just so out of whack in terms of balance with magic that it de-emphasizes even further having people use magic. But still, like, the gameplay just isn't there for me. I'm sorry. I enjoy it enough to get through it, but it's not something that I find compelling. Draw grinding wasn't really fun. It's not terrible, but if you're talking about the best games ever, this game definitely fell down the list for me in the last couple of playthroughs, just because there are so many other games that have dynamic and interesting and fun gameplay, and this just isn't there. I think it's a worthwhile play for people who haven't played Final Fantasy before, but I don't think it's a game that I'll be picking up again particularly soon. That said, I'm glad I went ahead and did this playthrough, because it is a fun game and there are a lot of fun moments, and this has been an enjoyable ride. But all good things must come to an end, and we've reached the end of my first Let's Play Final Fantasy VIII. I'll be announcing a new project pretty soon here, but until then, this has been Marathon Hurdler. I want to thank you as always for checking out my videos, and hopefully I'll see you next time.